Hi, and welcome to Cover Brand, where we cover all things branding, marketing, and advertising to help you understand what the hell branding is and how it works to grow your business. Welcome and welcome back. I'm Ethan Decker, your host. Today on the show, I've got my good friend Rajev. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ethan. Thank you.
Where are you calling from?
I'm in Colorado, Denver, Colorado.
Oh, I hear it's windy there today.
It is windy. It's been windy most of this weekend, and it is a windy again.
All right. Well, what's your cover band story?
I grew up in Australia, and there used to be this great cover band in the basement of the Hilton Hotel. They were called Brown Sugar. Ironically, they were from New Zealand, but they made their story and they made their presence in Australia, and they used to do great covers for 80s, 90s, and then 2000s. And it was one of my favorite places to go. I actually tried to get them to play at my wedding, but they were too expensive. They were too good by that point.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
Great. So you had a question for me about your company and your brand. What do you got?
Yeah. So, as we grow, I'm trying to work out how we do this branding exercise and how we keep our brand unique and the same across everything. So for us, our secret sauce is the people, right?
Yep.
How we handle the IT problems, how we are personable, how we have empathy. And so it was just me and my business partner. It was easy. The business was built around us because we had that same ethic.
And it's an IT services business.
Correct. That's right. Think of it like an outsourced tech support.
Great.
Just nicer. And so as we grow, how do we keep that brand? How do we, keep that same secret sauce? And how do we communicate that? How do we communicate that we are different than every other IT company out there?
Yeah. These are really challenging issues, especially when it comes to that growth issue.
Yeah.
That you start bringing on some new people, and lo and behold, they're not carbon copies of you yet.
Yep.
And you have to deal with their differences and their mindset and their personalities, and then figure out how to make sure that the brand experience, so to speak, is consistent when it's other people doing the work and not just you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And then when you get big enough to be something like Starbucks and you have 175,000 employees,
right,
it's a big question.
Yeah.
I find two things are quite helpful. You've probably seen some brand equity documents or brand stories or brand personality and mission and vision and purpose and all these things.
Yeah.
There are lots and lots of these options floating around. There is absolutely great use to try and nail down a little bit about your brand.
Okay.
I call it the brand DNA. I have a background in biology and ecology, so that just makes sense to me. Doesn't really matter what you call it. You can call it the brand onion. What you don't want to do is just fill in a whole bunch of pigeonholes on a document because the document has a lot of pigeonholes. Okay. Because then you just have a lot of pigeons. And pigeons poop.
Right.
So you don't need a mission and a vision and values and a purpose and a big, hairy, audacious goal. Like, that's just too much, especially if you're a small company.
Yeah.
But you do need to nail down a few things.
Okay.
Well, for instance, what is our core offering?
Mm-hmm.
What are the 2 or 3 soft or mushy things that we think are important to us? You can call them values.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of what I call brand behaviors.
Okay.
Because it's easy to say we value integrity.
Sure.
98% of companies say integrity is one of their values.
Right.
If you talk about a behavior in a more concrete way, even if it's a symbolic behavior, it really brings it to life. So for instance, we will always, well, here's one example from Nordstrom, for instance. Nordstrom is all about service.
Right.
Now, McDonald's is also about service.
Sure.
That's one of their values.
Yeah,
but what's the difference? Nordstrom would say something like this if I were in charge of their brand DNA. And I have seen they do some of this when in their training. They say, when it's snowy out, we'll go shovel our customers' cars so they can shop a little longer.
Yeah.
We will gift wrap gifts for our customers, even if they bought it from somewhere else in the mall. Yeah. That's service.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And just with those two little examples, you have such a better visceral feel for what you mean by something that's vague and broad like service.
Yeah, right.
So I am sure, uh, Rajev, you and your partner right now have great examples or stories or things that
Yeah.
just stick and bring to life what you mean when you say your own special sauce
Hmm.
or
Right.
customer care or going above and beyond, going the extra mile.
Right.
I worked with a small manufacturing firm recently that's going through a very similar situation. As they grow, they want to make sure that everyone behaves as they want them to and on brand, as we would say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so one of their phrases is, "We run to problems, not away from them."
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Yeah.
And you could call it a value. I just think it's simpler to say it's a brand behavior.
Hmm.
And this is how we expect our people to behave and the attitude that comes with it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I
you want
like
to
that.
do a little brand DNA thing.
Yeah.
You want to nail down a couple of your main points about your company.
Yeah.
If there's an example or metaphor, then use that. Like we want to be the Range Rover of IT.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't know if it's right, but you want to, of course, find something that helps people understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of our team actually came up with one. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it on here, so hopefully you can bleep it out if we need to.
Okay.
I think I might have shown you this at one. It was just a little graphic of this, this typical IT person sitting there in a closet, but it just said "not assholes," right?
Right.
And it was just like, how do we distinguish ourselves? What is our
Yeah.
what makes us different? And it's that we care. The guys truly care.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love that. And you can say curse words here. This is
Good, because I
not
already
not
said.
quite rated X, but it's certainly, PG-13 or rated R. Um, the other piece of that puzzle that we're
Yeah,
getting to is personality.
right.
And as organizations become more and more corporate, and usually because they're getting bigger and bigger,
Hmm.
they get less and less personality.
Yeah,
And we've all seen that.
yeah,
So as a small brand, you can do something which I love. You can fight unfair.
yeah, yeah. A little
The
bit
big
clever.
guys, the big guys can't have corporate personality, or if they do, it's bland beige milk toast. And
Yeah,
they say things like, we provide excellent customer service,
right.
and they only use 3 and 4 syllable words. And you're the one that can say no assholes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you can do it in a way that works for you. You don't have to be cheeky and punchy and
Right.
funny, but if there is stuff that expresses your personality, for Pete's sake, do it,
Yeah.
because the big brands can't.
And I love that phrase because it does summarize so much of our personalities in our company,
Mhm.
ethos. We like to be a little bit cheeky. We like to find, different approaches. That really does bring home as a company how we're different, how we operate.
Yeah, and you could put that into one of your brand behaviors on your brand DNA.
Yeah. I love it.
And it's just you just need one example for people in your organization to go, "Oh, I get it.
Yep.
That okay, I can feel that."
I love
And so often as we do these brand DNA exercises or brand definition exercises, we look to the big guys
it.
and
Mhm.
we copy them, and many of them are milk toast. Many of them are generic and beige because legal has their hand in it, PR has their hand in it. They're worried about doing the wrong thing or upsetting people, and we have a lot more leeway and a lot more margin than
Yeah.
we think.
So what you're saying is I need to get this out there and publish before we get too big and legal gets involved.
Amen. Amen. Do stuff before legal touches it. The
Right.
other the other thing I will say, which gets to your other point about how to let your clients and
Mhm.
potential customers know,
Yeah.
is then you need to give yourself permission to to fight unfair in public and to say those things which might feel
Mhm.
a little dangerous when you
Yeah.
start to put on your corporate business person's hat
Yeah.
and run with it, because that's the stuff that people remember and recognize. That's the stuff
Yeah.
that stands out. And 90% of other IT service firms will not do it because they're following the professional corporate IT playbook.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. And what about, self-advocation? Like I feel like in at least us as a company, we're not a very forward company. We've never really done sales. And so we're not the type to be like, I'll call you in a week. I'll call
Yep.
you in 2 weeks. But I think there's a lot to be said for self-advocation. Like, hey, we solved this problem for this other customer, or hey, this is something new we're doing. But it just seems like a lot of, I don't know, self-inflation. It seems a little bit,
Yeah.
I don't know. But do you think that is something that has to happen as a company grows?
Well, unless you do something that is hard to find and there are not many providers, like perhaps if you're an expert at maintaining and repairing offshore wind turbines underwater in the
Yeah.
North Sea,
Right.
you're the only person they call.
Yep.
And so you don't have to do any self-promotion. Otherwise, if you're a firm that has a lot of competition or other people can do a lot of what you do, then you do need to promote. You need a marketing function of some sort, a marketing muscle. You need a sales function or muscle of some sort.
Right.
You need to get the word out there, and you need to self-promote.
Yeah.
And that is uncomfortable for a lot of people who get into the job because they love to do the craft.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it turns out they have to do the business stuff.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about that, just you and me, in
Yeah.
other situations of being a craftsman versus being a businessman,
Yeah.
or a craftsperson, being in the craft, and a business person really focusing on the business, which is
Right.
sales and marketing and legal and IT and HR and all of that.
Yeah.
So you should get a little uncomfortable if it's not something you're used to
Yeah.
self-promote. Like I said, fight unfair. And so do those things that add a little more personality than you would think is okay.
Yep.
As you know, I always show up in bright orange,
Yeah. Yeah.
and people give me shit for it. And you know what? That's their problem, not mine, because when I go to a conference and I give a keynote talk, people can find me afterwards. People can follow up with me. I'm the guy. Oh, what was that guy? Who
Yeah.
was that guy? He was
The
really
orange guy.
good. The one in the orange, the one in the orange jacket.
I
I'm
love
okay with that.
I love that so much. So one of the things I've always said is I find doing business here easier, and a lot of people, and I think also that it's the accent, right? They'd
Yes.
probably interview 20 IT guys, and half of them are probably brown like me anyway. And so suddenly it's the Aussie guy that came in and made a couple of bad jokes,
Yeah.
and it's just that it's a data point. It's something for them to remember. And I've really
Yes.
leaned into that.
Yes. Yes. This gets to another point I talk quite a bit about. We won't get into it today, which is some of your points of difference can be
Yeah.
symbolic or shallow, and that's okay. Starbucks has a green mermaid. What does that
Yeah.
have to do with coffee? I don't know, but it's easy to find. There are other brand strategists and brand scientists you could hire, but I'm the one with the orange and the frog
Right.
elk logo. You're one of the many brown-skinned IT guys, and in fact, your name, Rajev,
Yeah.
might seem stereotypical, but
I'm
you've got
literally
this weird
Raj.
Australian accent.
Yeah, I'm literally Raj from IT, right? Like it's I lean
Raj
into the joke.
Yeah, Raj from IT, but with an Australian accent. You know who else threw an accent on their character just to make it interesting? Geico.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
There is no reason that gecko needs an accent, but it's memorable.
Yeah. I
It
love it.
stands out a little. It's personality. It's sticky. And Lord, Geico needed some personality 25 years ago because they were the most generic insurance brand you could think of.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So number one, think about a few things that crystallize what you guys are about, what your brand feels like. And feel free to do it in expressive ways, in
Yeah.
concrete ways,
Yeah.
in ways that really capture that thing, that essence. Don't worry about filling out all the pigeonholes on a brand document, but make a brand document.
Mhm.
As you hire more folks, they read the brand document, you make sure they get it in a visceral sense,
Mhm.
and then you can hold them to some of those standards so
Okay.
they know what you mean when you say great service or personable or fun.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
know, if
Yeah.
you make IT fun, what the hell does that mean?
Right.
But then they'll get it, and then you can hold them to that.
I
And then
like it.
finally, when you express it to your prospects as you
Mhm.
start doing your self-promotion and sales and marketing, leave that personality in there. Fight unfair because the big guys, they got to pass it all through legal and PR.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ethan.
Absolutely. It was great to see you. Have a great day.
I will. You
I
too,
hope
mate.
you I hope you don't get blown away in the wind.
I hope not. Let's see how this goes.
All right. Cheers. Are you planning a big team offsite, a sales meeting, or a large company event, and you want to bring in a speaker who will blow people away? Then your first call should be Oprah. But if you can't get Oprah, call me. Also, if you got something out of this episode, think of one person who might also get something out of it and send it to them as a way of saying, hey, thinking of you.